Hey you guys, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm Chef D Max. Today, a roasted summer salmon. It's gonna be amazing. Stay with me. Click subscribe if you're not doing that already. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and ring that bell, and I can send you new things I have coming up. So I'll see you back in the kitchen with some wonderful summer salmon. Okay guys, summer salmon. I'm gonna show you how to do this, but first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start by sauteing off some mushrooms. I've got, you can see some salmon here. This is a sockeye, beautiful salmon that you find wild in the summertime. A lot of times you'll get this for a decent price at your grocery store as well. Sometimes in this time of year, it actually outperforms the farm-raised salmon. So it's always outperforms it in flavor, but even in price. So with this dish, I'm making this dish all kind of these summer hot items. I've got some red bell peppers. I've got some nectarines. I made some corn pudding. You can click up here to see how we make the corn pudding, and that's something that you can add to this. And then I've got some green onions. So the first thing that we're going to do, we would normally start with our onions, but because the green onions cook quickly, and I like those a little sharp, we're going to go straight with the mushrooms. So I've got olive oil here, a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I go nice and heavy with that. And then I'm going to put my mushrooms in there. These are a simple button mushroom. And I'm going to just add a little salt to them at this point. That's it. And I want those to sear up nice. Now, while those are searing, let me show you something about sockeye. Now, normally salmon, they'll send you this, when you get a salmon fillet in the store, they still don't take out these pin bones that are right here. So let me show you what that looks like. These pin bones, I take some tweezers. These ones should be fish tweezers, not ones you're doing your eyebrows with, but they are the same. So just buy an extra pair. So you hold them, and when you grab that, you'll feel this line of bones there. When you grab the bone, put tension on it. Do not yank at it. When you don't yank at it, you see how it just pulls that out gently, like this? So again, feel it like that, put tension, and it pulls out on its own. So you're kind of playing tug of war with it. You're not yanking on it. You're just putting tension on the line, and they just pop right out. And they're very symmetrical. You just go down the line, and you'll feel them exactly where they should be evenly. So you feel with your fingers to see if you missed one, which I did, because I don't have my glasses on, so sometimes I can't see that well. Like that. There's one here in the tip right here too. So I just want to feel for it. Once I get it in my tweezers, then I just put tension and it comes out. You see that? So you have all of these bones would have been really a nuisance for you while you're eating. There's actually one in the front here too. Sometimes in the front there's like a little one. You know, where they cut it, sometimes they cut through a bone as they separated the two pieces for you. And doing this will make sure that you don't get a bone when you're eating. The rest of it is boneless. So you've got those pieces there. Clean your tweezers off. Put your bones away in the garbage. Okay? Then you can give these back to your wife. Just kidding. Don't do that. Actually, you could use the same ones. You could sterilize them, whatever. It's stainless steel, so my tweezers are. So with this, you can see I want to sear those hard, so I'm going to continue to saute this hard. My fish now, I've got the skin on. I leave the skin on because it's going to protect the fish. So I'm going to stick this to the side. We're going to cook that. It's a thin piece of salmon, so it's not going to take that long. Now, while this is finishing cooking, we're going to add our peppers in next. So I've got a bell pepper here. I cut on the outside of the bell pepper, and I cut thinly through like this, because what I'm looking to do is get the outside walls of the pepper, not the center of the pepper, right? And then I cut the top walls like this too. You see this? how I do this. I don't like to waste any. And then I'll put the rest over here as trash. Okay, I'll move my nectarine. Now, you can see sometimes you have these little bits of the center of the pepper. I just pull that out. I take the pepper and I press it flat with my knife flat like this, and I kind of just cut this ribbon out and cut some of the pith out like this. You see that? So what you end up is with just really nice bell pepper. The center part can be a little acidic, so by cutting that out like this, it gives us a nice sweet bell pepper. Again, press it flat with the knife and then just move the knife back and forth like this as you're pressing it flat, okay? And then you get this center out. The center is watery, it's acidic, it's a little bit too bright sometimes, this makes your pepper experience a lot more elegant. So with this, I'm just gonna dice my peppers up small, like this. So I cut them in a long line thin, that's called a julienne, right? Then I come back the other way, and I cut them like this, okay? And then I'm gonna finish that, but let me check my mushrooms. The mushrooms are starting to lose any bit of water that they had in them, right? You can see, and they're sauteing off nicely, and they'll eventually start to sear when the water disappears. You see all the water that's going off. When that water disappears, that's when they're gonna get brown. So what I wanna do now is, before they get brown, I wanna throw in my peppers, because the peppers have a lot of water in. And then the pepper water is also gonna cook off and blend, and the mushrooms kind of will eat up some of that pepper water and absorb it. And it's gonna make the whole dish this beautiful flavor. So I'm again slicing one direction thin, and I come back in another direction to make this beautiful dice. Then I just take that dice with my knife and put it here. Be careful when you're moving vegetables with your knife like this, not to like obviously press your finger against your knife and cut it, because I've seen people do that before. So the ends of the pepper here, I just kind of dice them up the best that I can, right? Like this. And you end up with a nice dice of pepper, okay? Perfect. Now, to finish up with this as well, I'm going to take our corn. I've got a corn pudding that I've made already. I'll show you guys what that looks like at the end. But I'm going to take my corn, I lay it down. You see how I lay it on here? Why do I do that? Because I don't want the corn like flopping all over the cutting board, falling on the floor, getting everywhere in my kitchen, right? So what I do is I lay it down like this. A lot of times you see people stand it up and cut through it. I don't know why they do that. I think it's just to make a mess in the kitchen. So lay it down like this, roll it around, and you avoid that mess in your kitchen, and you get just nice corn like that off the cob. Okay, now let me stir this again. We're gonna put that in, and then at the same time, we're gonna add in our corn, because our corn has got milk in there too, that beautiful corn milk in there, and that's gonna release out. That will also blend in with your mushrooms as they're looking to first release their juices and then reabsorb them. Okay. I guess always it's hard to kind of keep corn in its place. It always kind of wants to dive around the kitchen. Do you see that? I like kind of dropped a few pieces here and there. That's okay. I'll get them later. Okay. So I get every bit of my corn I can find in there. All right. Now I'm going to mix that. That looks beautiful. I want to kind of tap the corn like this to break it up. Okay. If you find it's a little bit dry from fattiness, you can add a little bit more olive oil. I love that. Keep this somewhat healthy. Okay. And there's only been salt on there so far. I like to put a little bit of Old Bay in this. It's a very kind of Eastern Virginia, Maryland kind of flavor with the corn and the salmon. Or with any kind of seafood, it's really nice, especially crabs. But I don't want to put it in now because it's going to be powdery and it'll cause that stuff to burn. I want basically the milk and the corn to come out, the juice and the peppers to come out, blend with the mushrooms. When that's done, then we're gonna add in a little bit of our Old Bay seasoning at the end, and then any additional olive oil if you need it. If you like butter, you could use butter as well. Now I have wonderful nectarines. You can use nectarines, peaches, any stone fruit that you like in the summer. And then what we'll do is I'm going to cut around, and let's see if I can pull this pit out. Whoops. It's still a little firm, which actually for this kind of a dish where I'm cooking it, it actually is better that it's a little firm. You don't want it to be kind of like super overripe, right? Like you would on some things. So with this, if you have any imperfections, like a little bit of it right there was like a little bit overripe, I want to taste it for flavor. It's beautiful. And then I'm going to cut thin strips of it like this. So just thin strips, you see how that works, right? Beautiful, nice thin strips of nectarine like this. What's the deal with the nectarine? Why would you put a nectarine or a peach in this? Because it adds sweetness. It's so nice together with these items because you've got sweet corn, you've got the earthy mushrooms, you've got the sweet bell peppers, and then these nectarines are going to add a fruity sweetness that is going to make all those things shine. So here again, you can see we don't want to really put any color on it. We just want to cook it like this. My corn is almost done. Peppers are almost done. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit more olive oil like this. I'm going to taste it for flavor. Do I have enough salt is what I'm wondering. All right. Most of my liquids have kind of cooked down a little bit, and I still want the corn to be a little bit more cooked. So I'm going to add in probably a teaspoon of water in there, and we'll let this cook down, let this water cook down with it. And then we'll show you what that looks like as we're getting closer. So let me take this off and we're going to put the salmon on. Okay, I've got my salmon here. I've got a cast iron pan, and I've got my oven on about 350, 400 degrees. I like it hotter and faster because I like to leave the salmon just a little bit medium rare in the center. This is not going to take long on this. You would normally just put a little bit of grapeseed oil or like a blended olive oil. Don't waste a really good olive oil on that. I got the pan hot first, then I put the oil, and then I'm going to let the oil get hot. But before I do that, I'm going to put a little salt on it, both sides. Okay? Put it on one side, put it on the other. Okay? Then I'm going to put a little bit of Old Bay on this side here. So if you don't like Old Bay, don't use it. Just use salt and pepper. But I love Old Bay on this. I don't like to put it on the skin side because Old Bay, unlike just salt, it'll get burnt. So the goal is with the skin is to not burn the skin. That's why when you have like kind of fish that's been blackened, they put it in a hot pan too, but they're putting the seasoning on it, and the seasoning getting burnt is what makes it blacken. That's what we don't want. So the skin side, just leave with the salt, okay? And then I'm gonna put this in the pan like this. Now, right when I put it in, I press it down. And what that does is that makes the skin flat on it. Okay, the skin wants to curl up as it's getting cooked, but it will release. Once it gets hot, it releases. So we want that. Now, the beauty of a salmon is crispy skin on a salmon is amazing. So we want all of the pieces of the flesh touching that pan, and that's protecting it. Now the soft, delicate meat of the salmon will get to just roast in this while the skin is cooking from underneath, and that oils that you get in between the skin layer and the meat layer is going to help to baste the salmon. So once we do that, our salmon's ready to go. I'm going to throw this in the oven, and then you're going to see what it looks like when we pull it out. Okay, I threw my salmon in the oven, and I'm just going to finish up my corn now. I want this to cook in that little bit of water that we put in there. Most of that's evaporated out. So at this point, I'm going to add in my green onions. So here you can see I've got some green onions that I've just washed really nice. And then I'm just going to rock my knife back and forth to get beautiful green onions that I'm going to put in here with the corn, okay? So kind of these ones as well, just like kind of corn, they try to escape all over the place because they're round and they go rolling off like little wheels. So I try to keep them tight and together. I leave a little pile like that. That tends to make them want to stay together like that. And then we've got our green onions nicely diced. Now green onions, like I said, they don't really need to cook long. They're better when they're super fresh. So I'm adding this in right here because we're towards the end, okay? And then I'll put not the citrus, but the stone fruit in right at the end as well, because what we're looking to do with that is bring some of the sweetness out, but we don't really need to cook the fruit. We just want to warm the fruit. So at this point too, I'm going to put my lemon juice. I'm going to put probably a quarter of a lemon. That's a quarter of a lemon right there. So I'm going to see where that brings us. I'll mix this around gently. Wonderful flavors. The onion flavor from the green onion, the pepper flavor, the fruit in there. And a lot of times people are like, I don't like fruit with savory. But that's because you haven't had it like this. You're adding the fruit in there. It's going to blend the sweetness. It's going to add sweetness to your corn. It's going to add sweetness to your whole dish in a very beautiful way. It's a real kind of luxurious feel that you get when you add this type of fruit with savory things in a kind of either sauteed or roasted or a grilled environment. I don't know if you've ever had it in the summer, but grilled peaches with other things, other vegetables on the grill with meats is fantastic. So this is almost done. I'm going to let it cook for like another minute or two to bring these flavors together. I want to put a little bit of my Old Bay in this now because I did put it on my fish, but I didn't put it on this because remember when I told you it was gonna kind of burn and make the whole dish burn? So now is when you would put it in at the end. And remember, you don't want to over salt it in the beginning because Old Bay is salty too. So when you put that in the end, it'll be way too salty if you salted it to taste in the beginning. So in the beginning, you just put just enough salt to get it started. And then at the end, we'll salt it to the finish with the Old Bay. I'm going to let that cook for 30 more seconds. I'm going to clean my board. We're going to pull the salmon out. We're going to plate this thing up. So I'll see you back in a second. Okay, guys, we're back. This is done. I'm going to turn that off. You can see like all of the liquid is kind of really cooked down. The beautiful fruits in there are going to be wonderful. At this point, I'm just going to take some spoonfuls of that and look how wonderful this looks. I mean, the colors, right? Now with this, I've got my corn pudding. If you have this, then you can use it. You can pull it out of your fridge and use it. It's basically just the corn pureed and then cooked down and that I've made a sauce with. So you can see, I'll just put that around on here like this, and it's this wonderful sauce that you get. It's delicious, right? And then we're going to put a bunch of our mix here, and that presses that out. I've got lemon. I like to put lemon on the side in case people like a little extra lemon. And then I've got my salmon. Now, with the salmon, I've never flipped this over on the other side. So you can see on this side, it's firm. That's what we're looking for, like a little bit of a delicate press to it. And then I want to go right over on top like this, super crispy, right? And then if you want, I put a little fresh sea salt on top like that. For people who do like the skin, people don't like the skin, just tell them that it just peels right off. And what they're going to end up with is a perfect, delicate, flesh of the fish that hasn't been dehydrated and dried by the direct cooking on the pan. So it's going to have much more delicate flavor. You're going to get the real salmon flavor that you're paying for. So beautiful dish, salmon with summer corn. You've got peppers, mushrooms, and a corn sauce, and it's going to be delicious. I'll put a little bit, excuse me, I love to put a little bit more olive oil around. You can see how beautiful that looks. Extra virgin for that, it's a finishing oil. So that's it, enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you back in the kitchen soon. I'm Chef Dean Max.